Welcome back, Commander.
This is
Tri-House Tales.
Mysteries.
Fact, fantasy, and history have come together to tease the imagination.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. This is Tri-House Tales, Mysteries of Histories, and today we are talking about Roanoke, the lost civilization. But not really a civilization, because it was just a colony. It was the first colony of the English in the New World. Today, I have with me, with the great pleasure, I introduce Kevin C. Frederick, luscious Kevin C. Frederick. And then we have the bodacious Jeremy Griffith. And I am Matthew McKay.
The loquacious.
And so here on Tri-House Tales, what we do is we break down the mysteries of history with nothing but Wikipedia and some like random articles we find. We pass them off as if they are scientific truths.
But they are not. Most of these are opinions, but some of them is fact. In the beginning, we like to start out with facts. And then as we progress, we start losing reality and facts.
It all comes back to aliens.
Everything noteworthy that's happened in the past ever traced back to aliens 100% without a doubt.
Oh, without a doubt.
Every time.
Jack Daniels. It felt incomplete what I said.
All right, take it away, Matt.
All right. So, starting out, we talked about earlier that this was the first colony of the English in the New World. So, the Queen issued a charter that instructed Raleigh, one of her subjects, and the Roanoke
It's
settlers.
pronounced Raleigh.
Oh, really?
Can we get a booth
Sir
check?
Walter Raleigh.
Does it really matter? I mean,
Does it Raleigh?
dear Lord.
I spilled a tea on myself.
Does it Raleigh?
So the Queen issued a charter that instructed Raleigh and the Roanoke settlers.
We just
Let
went
him speak.
Dude, I'm never going to learn. The Roanoke settlers to discover, search, find out, and view such remote, heathen, and barbarous lands, countries, and territories to have, hold, and occupy, and enjoy. Sir Walter Raleigh, right?
It's close enough. He's dead. He's not going to know.
So Sir Walter Raleigh, though his name is synonymous with the legends of Roanoke, he only funded the organization.
He funded it. He never like actually went there.
He actually he had like the first offshoot of McDonald's, and he made a lot of money. And with that McDonald's capital, Roanoke.
That's not a good analogy.
Guys, we literally said we were going to start off with facts. God damn it.
So on April 27th, 1584, two ships left England and arrived in what is now the coast of North Carolina on July 13th, 1584, as the first colonization by the English in the New World. The settlement of Roanoke was officially founded in 1585, 22 years before Jamestown and 37 years before the Mayflower landed on Plymouth Rock.
Can I say real quick about Jamestown, right? The second governor of Jamestown, William Bradford, is my ancestor. Fun fact.
Wait, how do you know that?
I don't believe that.
My grandmother like went through the Mayflower Society of Wisconsin to like trace our ancestry, and I'm related to him, and then also some other guy, like Thomas Warren. He was just like a citizen of Jamestown.
Wow.
But those two guys, like I'm like descended. I have some of their like sperm somewhere in me.
That is awesome.
And
That's
their
awesome.
eggs.
Right.
I don't think they had eggs, Kevin, unless they stole them from the Native Americans.
Hashtag feminism.
The settlement was near the modern-day town of Monteo, just to kind of give you an idea of where Roanoke was. So Ralph Lane, previously a commissioner of the piracy, was tasked with running the colony with Raleigh's cousin, Sir Richard Grenville, who Ralph Lane despised, referring to him as a person of intolerable pride and insatiable ambition. Ambition.
Matt has forgotten what the English language is.
Tastes just like oyster crackers, that ambition.
Okay, yeah. So the original people that like went over to Roanoke weren't the colonists. They weren't like, let's just start a colony first. They brought over like settlers, which were like just all men, and their job was to like fortify a location so they can bring like women and children and families over to Roanoke.
Yeah, I think it was about 100 strong.
Yeah, they brought about like 100 dudes there that were just like supposed to like set it up. And then so Richard Grenville left Roanoke to head back to England.
It's actually pronounced Granville.
Is that
No,
true?
I have no idea.
Oh,
God damn it.
I don't think he was French. That sounds like a French pronunciation.
Yeah.
Granville.
But anyways, he left Roanoke to head back to England and promised to return with supplies. And yeah, that just like never happened.
This is how he sounded. I promise I will bring supplies.
I don't even know if that was French, bro.
I am Richard Grenville.
Oh yeah, so after like he promised to do that, and it was like it took him forever to. He had to like go and get supplies and get back.
Yeah, I mean that was like a 3-month journey. I believe.
Yeah, it's not.
So that's 3 months there. You have to get the supplies ready. That's probably.
And we bitch about traffic in LA.
I know, right?
Sir Francis Drake docked at Roanoke.
Whoa.
Wait.
But before that,
What?
we actually have some testimony of Ralph Lane that I'd like to get into.
Oh yeah.
These are accounts from his diary that I'm gonna go into quotes.
right.
It kind of gives you like kind of what the colonists were dealing with, you know, especially with Native American relations.
We gotta get a
That's
good Ralph Lane
that's
accent
right.
going
This is where it all started, y'all.
Oh yes.
Are you gonna do a good Ralph Lane accent?
The king of the said province is called Melatonin, a man impotent in his limbs, but otherwise for a savage, a very grave and wise man. When I had him prisoner with me for 2 days that we were together, he gave me more understanding and light of the country than I received by all the searchers and savages that before I or any of my company had confidence with, made me the most desirous to have some doings with the Mancokes, which is another Native American tribe, either in friendship or otherwise, to have one or two of them prisoner.
All right, can you cliff note that? What does that mean?
Yeah, so pretty much he's saying that he took one of the chiefs of one of the neighboring tribes captive and kind of forced him to tell him about the neighboring, you know, like the natural water sources and the tribes that are around him and maybe some of the resources.
So he was like, okay, are you doing shit? Are you busy? Okay, yeah, we're gonna take you.
We're gonna,
And he's like a chief. He's like, you show me respect. And he's like, no, you come with me. So what's going on? What's up with this land we're at now?
Yeah, and the guy and the chief told him about other tribes, and this guy in the end is like, oh God, he told me about so many other tribes that I want to take them captive.
I believe he's used the
Like,
term
what?
savages.
Yes, savages.
Savages. We actually have a direct quote from Menantonon, the chief in question. I'll read it now. No, DAPL, protect Dakota waters. So, you can see, this chief was prescient.
Well done, Jeremy. That is the best reference.
I missed it.
So, you know, we have
That was
to,
the Dakota pipeline reference.
okay.
Or the Standing Rock.
So, you know, even back then, water, very important to these guys. So, real quote, how did he know?
Very. No, that's bad. I messed up. Sir Richard Grenville left Roanoke to head back to England. This is what Kevin was talking about, and promised to return with supplies. These supplies never came, leaving the settlers without proper rations and tools. After all hope seemed lost and many settlers had grown weak, Sir Francis Drake docked in their, quote, bad harbor, which is what Drake called it, to resupply Roanoke. To that, Ralph Lane wrote, or should I do the voice? Or
Do
you want to do the voice?
I have to do it?
Take it away, man.
Can we talk about Bad Harbor for a second before we do the quote?
Yeah,
Or you
let's
want to
do
talk
it.
after?
No, yeah.
What constitutes a bad harbor? Where there's
I
like
think-
shady guys like slinging crack on the corner of the dock, like, hey settlers.
I think he was
But all
more
the
so
Native
talking about it.
Americans just like, hey, we got cocaine.
Or like
it.
someone like calls Daredevil from the future. It's like, hey Daredevil, we got a bad harbor. You need to like take your blind stick to. Got some thugs roughing it up.
Well, I think it really had to do with just the way it was kind of laid out. It wasn't deep enough for the ships that Drake had.
That
I
makes
think that's
sense.
what he was referring to when he said
Wait,
bad ships.
On
Bad
here,
harbor.
do we not talk about the silver cup that was taken?
No, what is that?
Oh, dude, this is straight from Wikipedia, y'all. So
good old
apparently,
Wikipedia.
like when the first group O men came over, and they were like setting up like fortifications on Roanoke Island, they accused one of the neighboring tribes of taking a silver cup from them, And as punishment, they sacked and burned the entire village.
Yeah, I mean, eye for an eye, obviously.
So
That's what that is.
I feel like England's imperialism kind of started off a little strong. And so that's how the relations started with a bunch of tribes. But what is so absurd is that like only some tribes were like completely thrown off by that. Only some of them. There were some that were still like very friendly and like hospitable. And I guess it was just no big deal. You just burned down a village. That was before this moment had happened. So the relations are already kind of rough.
Exactly.
And like they don't have supplies. They had to fend off these tribes after they burned the fucking village.
Right. I mean, the tribes were extremely upset and were definitely pretty aggressive towards them, which led to their ultimate resolve to leave. Do you want to go on with the quote?
Oh, yes. This is the first time reading this. Let me see. I was brought a letter from General Sir Francis Drake with a most bountiful and honorable offer for the supply of our necessities to the performance of the action we were... Is he speaking in fucking circles here or what? The action we were entered into, and that not only of victuals, munition, and clothing...
Why does it... He sounds like... What's his name? Nigel Thornberry.
Our hope for supply with Sir Richard Grenville, so undoubtedly promised us before Easter, not yet come, neither than likely to come this year, considering the doings in England for Flanders.
No, they're all run-on sentence.
Are you really not going to do an accent on this?
Okay. And for Flanders, and also for America, that therefore I would resolve myself with my company to go into England in that fleet, and accordingly to make request to the general in all of our names, that he would be pleased to give us present passage with him. So basically they were like, take us with you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, at first he was like, hey, yo, bro, can you like spare some supplies to Drake? And Drake was like, yeah, of course. Or like, you could go with me because this ain't really working out. And he was like, okay.
I don't know why it took him a fucking novel to say, can we go? Jesus.
He's like, I learned a lot of words in English class and I'm going to use them. God damn it.
We don't have television. What the fuck do you expect? A bunch of the original settlers not colonists, of the Roanoke colony left with Sir Francis Drake, and Drake just left behind like 15 some odd men, just basically to fend off other people from laying claim to Roanoke Island, because this is supposed to be like... Oh, also, we forgot to talk about this. Queen Elizabeth was like, Sir Walter Raleigh, you fucking colonize North America or I will kill you. That was basically what she said. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hashtag women.
Hashtag my life.
Hashtag I love you.
But sorry, babe. Yeah, so there was like, that's why they had to leave these men behind, because if anybody like took the claim to this land, Queen Elizabeth I was going to be like royally pissed. See what I did there?
Really
But yeah, so yes.
Really pretty miffed.
Yeah, an interesting thing about the 15 men that Drake left behind is that they were never seen again.
Oh, also, yeah, that's not so much.
You think that they just died from starvation? Or
No, I don't think that was so much of a
natives?
mystery, because at the time, like, there's a bunch of shit going on with Spain, and it's talks about all the way throughout this story that the boats that they were trying to
Spanish
get
Armada,
on,
right?
no, they would be like people that were supposed to be settling and like making Roanoke stable would leave to go off and privateer, which is basically pirate. From the Spanish Armada, but it's called privateering if you're stealing from another government.
Yeah, no,
And so,
I mean, if you do it in the name of the law, it's profiteering.
Exactly. So what I'm assuming happened was that these 15 men were like, all right, bye, Sir Francis Drake, bye. And then as soon as they left, we're like, let's go steal some shit from those Spanish people.
So they went south and...
Yeah, and that's probably what happened, because that's not...
But that must have been so far away. And did they have any boats? They must have had boats. They probably left in a few canoes.
I'm not a doctor.
Why would they feel safe to abandon their colony, though? You know what? It's weird to me, right?
It wasn't quite a colony yet. It was more of just a fort at
And
this
just
time.
15 men?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
But then still, if it's only 15, wouldn't you all want to stick together at that fort where you kind of know the lay of the land? Well, hold on, no.
Did they know the lay of the land, though?
Well, I mean, they knew that fort.
The savages
I mean,
told them.
hey, if I were in the New World, I'd be like,
the
hell yeah,
Pilgrim.
I want to explore. Let's go down south.
But wouldn't you be afraid, though, to like,
Yes,
you know?
deathly afraid.
I'd be like, whoa.
But then again, everybody was you died so easily back in the day during that time that you couldn't
they
be
did.
afraid of certain death.
Yeah.
You know?
No, what's crazy to me though is that like there's so much mystery over Roanoke. And like there has been mystery over Atlantis and the pyramids and all this stuff. But the difference is that Roanoke happened when there was actually language and writing already.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you not leave anyone to document at the fort? Like, why would they take all the writers on board, like, back to England, just in case no one will know what happened if something happens.
That's probably why they're like, well, can any of you read? And then just like, well, I'm guessing. Well, at the time, I mean, you had to have known the significance of like what you were. No, they probably didn't.
Like to document, like, these were the first days in the new world. It's so new to us. No one lives here.
Yeah, I bet you they didn't know anything about like.
Oh, they must have. They must have a whole new land that's ripe for the picking.
Even though it's not new.
Even though it's not new. The Vikings landed in North America before Columbus did.
The Native Americans that lived.
That's proven, dude. That is proven.
Are you talking about those savages, the Native Americans?
Yeah, because they had to come all the way from India, through Russia, through what is now Alaska, to become Native Americans. JK, I know that's not real.
JK Rowling. Okay, in 1587, Raleigh tried again to like make this colony happen because the queen was like, all right, it's been like 2 years now, bro. And so Sir Walter Raleigh sent 100 like colonists to the New World under the leadership of John White, who I think was his cousin. 17 women, 11 children, and 90 men. Jesus Christ, that's a whole lot of dick. I did not know those numbers. Those poor women.
It's like, girl, let's get ready. Oh, that's gross.
Oh, I was just thinking about the smell.
Oh.
It's just like that many dudes. Never mind. That was
That's better.
We'll cut out. That was weird. So John White was the second governor of Roanoke. The first one was that guy who like pieced out pretty immediately.
Wait, John White from Pocahontas?
That's John Smith.
I know.
Yeah.
He's coming up, you stupid
A lot of
shit.
Johns back in the early days.
He's a white John.
If you thought John was a popular name now, Jesus. This is cool. John White, his daughter, I think it's his granddaughter. Virginia Dare was the first English child born in the New World. Virginia Dare.
What a fantastic name.
Virginia Dare.
Virginia Dare.
Virginia.
Sounds like Hunger Games star or something.
Was the state named after her? Virginia?
No, the state was actually named after Queen Elizabeth, who is referred to as the Virgin Queen, which is why Virginia Dare was named after the Virgin.
And which also explains why Queen Elizabeth was probably so bitchy.
So she's like the state.
Well, was that not good?
That was amazing.
Roanoke was apparently doing okay because John White was there and he was like holding down the fort and making sure everything was good. Re-establishing relations with the natives was what he was like trying to do because Ralph Layton kind of fucked that up with, burning an entire village and everything. John White was establishing relations and they were running out of food and supplies very quickly. And so the colonists were pleading to him to go back to England and ask for more supplies and that way they could, live. And he was like, okay. He's like, I will be back in a year's time, tops. That didn't happen. It took him 3 years before he ever made it back to Roanoke.
Yeah, right. So here's another guy who goes off to get supplies, and he actually got caught up in the war with the Spanish. All the ships were called to fight the Spanish Armada.
And then the few he could get to come out here would like go off in privateer instead. Oh, yeah, because on one of the voyages that he tried to get back to Roanoke was like en route to Roanoke, and the crew of the ship that he got saw some Spanish ships and tried to commandeer the ships so he could make more money, and instead got captured.
Jesus.
And taken back. So that
Classic.
so he had to like wait even longer to make it back. And so it eventually took him 3 years to return. And when he got there was nothing.
Nobody. Nothing except for... So there was a skeleton, and then carved into a gatepost was the word Croatoan. And nearby on a tree was carved just 3 letters. C-R-O. Which I don't know what that means.
Crow.
I didn't read about that.
It's the movie with Bruce Lee's son.
And
right?
that's where the scandal comes from.
Oh, Brandon Lee.
Yeah, he died in that movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was
fuck.
a Top Gun mess up.
Yeah.
First of all,
How
who
do you
dies
do
from
that?
one bullet? I'm just kidding. God rest his soul. No, okay. Did no one ever go to Croatoan and like see what's up?
Yeah, see,
They tried. Okay, because again, poor John White, he gets there. I've almost said James White. That's fucking fantasy football. John White, he gets there, and the crew that he finally gets to go there, and they're like, "Oh, nobody's here. All right, time to go." And they just like left so they could like be a part of the whole war and privateering thing again. But because the instructions that he left for the settlers, he's like, "All right, if anything happens and you have to leave for whatever reason, you're going to leave a cross on this tree, and I'll know you had to leave by force." And that didn't happen. There was nothing. The houses had been dismantled, but not in like a burnt and pillaged way. It was, they were taken apart. Like the people were in no rush to leave. There was no signs of like a fight happening or anything like that. So that's why.
Except for that skull and skeleton.
That's definitely from the previous time.
All right, well, we'll agree to disagree.
But it was really confusing on Wikipedia. I could understand how he was confused.
I didn't use Wikipedia, Kevin.
Shut up.
You know what probably happened is the Croatoans came and took everyone very peacefully, killed someone, and left their body there, right? As a sign, like, it's like a taunt. It's like, we're a Croatoan, but don't you dare fucking come here or you'll end up like this skull.
And that's what happened. The mystery's solved.
You know what probably actually happened? Which is like, it's piecing together in my mind, but it's so lame compared to what, like, cool stories. It's like they probably just thought that dude, like, died, John White, and he was never going to bring supplies. So they're like, well, we got to go find a place that does have supplies.
Yeah, I mean, after 3 years.
That's a common theme. And also, like, one of the people he left behind was his granddaughter, Virginia Dare. So, like he had every intention of coming back and was trying to get back. And so when it was theorized that when he saw the word Croatoan, they meant that they probably had to go
to Croatoan Island.
Yeah.
Right.
But the people he's with wouldn't allow him to go. This poor bastard. And
Like my granddaughter.
yeah, and so
Virginia Dare.
it went off to privateering. And is this where
Virginia.
what was that?
It was like Streetcar Named Desire. Like he's like, can I go? They're like, no, John. He's like, please. They're like, no. He like hugs the tree. Virginia. Okay, I got it at my wiggles. No, you know what's crazy to me, right? He goes back to England, and he's like, okay, these people need supplies. They're gonna die. And he's like, no, we're in war. You gotta fight these Spaniards. He's like, but they're gonna die. He's like, I don't give a fuck, John. Like, that's crazy to me that they didn't care.
Also, she was the one who said you need to charter this. Like, you need to get this done to Sir Walter Raleigh. And Raleigh's like, dude, like, go make it happen. Can't help you, though. Gotta do the war.
Yeah.
I mean, she probably wanted to destroy the Spanish over the colony.
Oh, and that's another reason the colony was founded, was so that they would have a more strategic position for, like, fucking up Spain. And so, like, it makes no sense why they didn't prioritize it more, because it was a good point of attack. And the Spanish apparently had heard about this outpost that America had created and assumed it was a lot larger than it was because of like the stories they'd heard about it. And so when the Spanish actually found it,
that kind of goes into the theories of what people have speculated on what happened to the colony. So one of the theories that you mentioned earlier was that the Spanish soldiers came from the south and captured the Roanoke.
But one of the reasons why that's not a likely theory is because the way Roanoke was dismantled wasn't in a hurry. It wasn't like they were taken over. And Roanoke was reasonably supplied with weapons. It was food that they needed the most. And so they had weapons. They could have defended themselves, and there was no signs of any kind of struggle. There's Spanish accounts from, unless like the Spanish did it on the DL, there's still accounts way later of the Spanish like finding the abandoned Roanoke after and being like, what the hell? Why is this still like... And because they were, like I said, the stories were supposed to be, like this Roanoke settlement was supposed to be in Chesapeake Bay area. Instead, it was on
Roanoke Island.
And it was really small and kind of insignificant. And so that's why the Spanish theory kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, because they didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely would have been good intel to have.
Yeah.
That would have been passed on to
Yeah.
him. So another one is that the abandoned colony, the colonists were just like, screw it. John White isn't coming back. We need to survive, because obviously these people were not very smart in how to maybe grow food. I don't even know.
Shit, yeah, dude. The first voyage back from Roanoke was the time that potatoes, maize, and one other like staple diet now was introduced to Europe. Was that one trip that I think it was when Ralph Lane went back? It's when they introduced maize and potatoes.
It might be
Probably.
might be tomatoes too.
Tomatoes?
I think it might.
Yeah, maybe. It was something like that. And it was
And they probably got that information of these plants from the Native Americans that
the
they
savages,
captured.
as they were. The savages.
These savages are so good at fruit vegetables.
Jesus Christ, what is this stuff they grow? It's so goddamn
So the
tasty.
reason that they not the reason, but one of the theories is that because they didn't have any food, that they just assimilated with the natives. That, I mean, obviously no one tribe would be able to take on settlers, but they broke up and they went to different tribes.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. I heard about the assimilation one.
Yeah, so if that theory is true, then Jesus, the Native Americans were so nice.
I know,
for all
dude.
the shit that the colonists pulled.
Well, yeah, one of the tribes that like is speculated to like be the one that is most assimilated is the Croatoans. Of the theories, this is the one that is like most wildly backed by like researchers
And
because
stuff that they found out in the wilderness.
well
Close.
that and there's accounts of like meeting natives who have blonde hair and blue eyes or Native Americans who have gray eyes, which is it's odd. So that is like and probably my most favorite theory on like what actually happened to the people at Roanoke
They
is
just assimilated.
Why is that your favorite? Shouldn't your favorite be like the most horrifying, creepy one with supernatural entities?
No, because that one is all about kindness and about
yeah,
acceptance.
it's well, and it's just like
Shut up, you Slytherin.
That doesn't make good television, Matt.
but also like
conflict.
where's
I don't know why
Pocahontas
I'm
in all
seeing
this?
that.
That's what I want to know.
What?
Where's Pocahontas in all this?
She was painting.
Just
with
kidding.
the colors of the wind.
She's 20 years later.
She was being a-
Where's Pocahontas?
She was busy being a Picasso. Theory number 3 for what happened to the Roanokes, as they're historically called.
That's not what they're called.
That's
just
not
so
accurate.
just so you come away with one piece of actual fact. That is not what they're called.
What are they called, Matt?
Roanokans.
Oh, really?
Well, now I just don't know.
Roanokees. Wait,
Shot
is
it, boo.
Roanokees what Jeremy said? Because that
Yeah.
sounds appropriate.
Why would we name
No.
people that don't even exist?
Roanokeans.
Roanokians.
How about we call them Americans?
The real Americans.
Americans.
The first American.
So the third idea is that there was a devastating disease, syphilis, that the travelers were
Hold
exposed
up.
to in the New World, and that fucking killed them. Why hold up, Matt? Are you gonna dispel syphilis?
No. Syphilis was probably a very big problem.
Yeah, really? You think so?
Yeah, no,
I just made it up.
Syphilis.
Maybe they got the red fever, if you know what I'm saying.
And then they assimilated.
They assimilated with the savages. I feel
No, and
terrible.
That
about this
actually
one.
makes a lot of sense because some of the accounts say that they were suffering from disease when John White left. A lot of the people were weak, quote weak. Is it really that hard to believe that Europe gave Native Americans smallpox and wiped out huge populations and it wouldn't
Work in reverse?
Yeah, exactly. Work the other way. It's a two-way street.
But the thing about that theory, well, I guess a lot of these theories is like, okay, if it was the disease, why was there only one skeleton? Why were there no other remains? Why were their houses so peacefully dismantled? It
You
just
know,
doesn't.
Have you heard those stories of like dogs and cats that when they're about to die, they go under the house or they go off alone and they die?
I don't think 116 dogs and cats
were
do
like
that though.
There were like 2 people left, and one was they were about to both go on their journeys out of the like colony, and then one was like, no, Samothy. Wait, what the fuck?
Did you just call him Samothy?
I did.
Hold on. That's the old English name for some Sam. Sure, Sam.
We couldn't call him Timothy, but he looked like a Sam.
Samothy Bradford. Alright, let's go with Samothy. They were both about to go off and die. He's like, no, Samothy. One of us must stay behind so they know what happened here. And Samothy was like, very well, Timford.
Oh my God.
I'll stay behind.
I know exactly what happened.
Matt's eyes lit up. What happened?
This is what happened.
Aliens, bro.
No. I'm not going to say aliens. Maybe. What happened is that it had been 2 years. It had been a year after John White was supposed to arrive, and the colonists held a town meeting, and they were like, guys, we're starving. We need to leave. And they were like, let's all just draw straws. And the person that gets the short straw has to stay here and wait for John White. And that's the skeleton. It was the one guy who stayed behind while they went off and assimilated with the natives, or maybe went up to Croatoan, and that guy died. And he wrote on the post Croatoan to kind of say, I'm dying. This is a path to see. This is where they went. And then he was in the middle of writing Croatoan on the barks, just in case they didn't see the message on the gatepost. And then he died in the middle of it.
That's a really fun theory, but why wouldn't he just write like a super long letter on the tree like the first day? Like, hey, dude, we're all going to Croatoan. Here's the directions, longitude, latitude. Peace out, and then just go.
Because they couldn't write.
But then he did before he died.
No, he just spelled Croatoan. He probably had it on like a slab that he was like, oh, that squiggly line, doop, that squiggly.
Oh, yeah. It like came to him in a vision.
Also,
I
like,
was dying and like, you need to at least know this, dying traveler. Croatoan. He's like, oh. He's like, this is all they'll need. And then 20 years later, nobody knows. The fuck is that?
really fucked that one up. Why leave a dude? Like, one dude?
Because I'm sure a lot of them were like, no, just wait a couple more days.
Maybe
I
it was
swear
like-
John White will come. And they had a little bit more food reserved. They left it with the dude being like, maybe it could last them like a month. I don't know. Be like,
It's like a can of Vienna sausages. Make it last, man. Samothy.
Timothy?
Ration well. This is all you get.
Jimothy?
This is movies.
Uthi is going to be the end of every name for the settlers we have at Roanoke.
Although I like how their accents are like southern. They're like more like, take a little bit of Vienna sausage, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah, because...
Take a tiny
I don't know
bit.
why. I guess they're North Carolina.
No, they have whatever accents we choose because they're dead and we're not.
And we're not
Or
named
their voices
Samothy.
now.
Yeah. You like hear like a rap on the window. It's like, it's me, Timothy.
So another theory is that they built a ship and set off to England.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that is the stupidest theory I've ever heard.
know.
Because,
What are they gonna build a ship with? Like loincloths?
Their
like Native
houses?
Americans?
well, oh yeah, they were disassembled. That's a really good point.
That's true.
That there might actually be some validity to that.
But maybe that's,
If they
they
kinda right.
went to the island of Croatoan. Maybe they needed the...
oh, yeah, that's...
But the
Like a
idea
small
that they
ship.
went all the way, they knew what the journey was. They weren't like some, homelanders who were like, I'm going to go to the New World with
Yeah.
my little,
My little
TP
dinghy.
boat.
It's
Yeah.
like the life of Pi. Where's my tiger?
Right. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. That made no sense.
Come on, somebody's got to get that shit anyway.
No, I got it. And then the
didn't.
monkey gets the head cut off, and then it turns
Well, I
out to be
haven't
his
seen
mother, and it's the most horrible.
damn it,
I
Jeremy,
read
are
the
you-
fucking
are you-
book, Jeremy.
Are you
I just
quoting
meant-
these you haven't read or
I just
seen?
meant that he had like a little tiny boat in the sea.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and like they.
Yeah, and the fact that
not suited for the journey at all.
not at all.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, so hopefully they didn't try that because they deserve to be lost if they tried that.
No, seriously. It's like, but these, I don't know. They don't seem very intelligent. I mean,
Whoa.
hey, dude, I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
I
They
actually,
don't.
it might have been the Crown's fault or Rayleigh's fault.
Rayleigh. Sounds like a
Because-
You're
fucking
literally
superhero.
trying to belittle
Oh,
somebody's
Rayleigh.
intelligence and mispronouncing
Rayleigh.
everything.
Shut up.
It's like Hancock.
But the fact that he couldn't pick settlers that were going to be self-sufficient or knew anything about survival.
There
That's true. That's true.
have been studies done by some plebeian at well, not plebeian, professor at
Plebeian
some
professor.
school somewhere. I'm not gonna read the fucking stat.
Oh my god, you lazy.
He took core samples from trees from the Jamestown area and from where Roanoke was. Dick, 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 dick.
Dig.
Okay, tree core samples.
He did core samples, and he said during the time that Roanoke was settled, the core samples, it said Jamestown, and Jamestown was right after the drought had stopped. And so that's why Jamestown was so successful, and Roanoke was like, please.
That was like a 15-year drought.
What?
Damn, dude.
Yeah, that makes what California's going through look like,
Well,
Yeah.
don't speak so soon. The drought might last yet.
God, I hope not. Oh, just a little fun fact. Climate change apparently is going to give the US of A more arable land.
Yep.
And for the Middle East, it's going to pretty much make summers 120 degrees and winters like 110 degrees, making it damn near uninhabitable.
So even climate change thinks the US of A is the best nation.
Of course.
That's
and
crazy.
climate change is unbiased. Let's just be honest.
There's, like, nothing
That's
to
just
do about it.
science.
And dude, like there's already like most of the Middle East is already uninhabitable by my standards.
Totally. And they're like one of the...
Oh my God, guys, our listeners, we're not trying to be offensive.
Should we cut that part out?
Oh, it's all comedy. It's all good.
Oh yeah.
we
It's
don't
like-
mean any of this stuff.
No, plus also it's like a desert. Like I mean,
love-
literally.
yeah.
You know?
So this is the fifth theory that the Croatoans captured them and took them to Croatoan.
Were Croatoans like
were-
Native Americans?
They were the Native Americans who lived on
tribe.
Croatoan Island. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They were actually one of the nicer ones. I heard that they like took them in. That was the theory that I heard about them.
That might be very...
Welcome to our island.
Welcome on. They're Jamaican now.
Oh, we smoking a peace pipe. I don't know why that was Italian and Jamaican.
We are smoking a piece.
Yeah, blue clot.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. It's bobsled time.
Taste of some of the corn.
Taste of some of the corn. Okay, shit.
So here's another like kind of conspiracy theorist idea about the crown, the royal crown, and how they didn't want people to know that the English settlers in Roanoke were absolutely butchered. They didn't want to give this idea that these settlers that took this massive voyage, to the new land, these English settlers, that they just got butchered by Native American tribes. So they made it seem mysterious, like they just up and vanished. So that it would seem, like it wasn't certain death for other English settlers who wanted to colonize America.
That's still pretty fucking bad, though. Like, 112 people are just gone.
Well, that's better than like, hey guys, all 112 settlers just got butchered by Native Americans. Have at it.
Instead, they show up and Native Americans are wearing, like, human clothes.
That's like another thing reinforcing the idea that like whoever was in charge in England was a complete idiot. Because it's kind of like they didn't put enough value in the colony firsthand, and then it failed miserably. And they were like, but we still kind of like this idea, so let's make sure we have a situation set up where we can try again.
Yeah.
Once we deal with the Spanish and sink all their stupid armada boats.
And as we know, Jamestown was wildly successful.
That's true.
Yeah.
Jamestown, like
It's got its own movie,
it led to
Yeah,
me.
I mean, yes.
a video game.
It led to Jeremy Griffith, everybody.
Oh,
yeah.
He is related to the second mayor of Jamestown. I'm not sure. Did we cover that?
Governor.
I'm just proud. I'm
Let's just
proud
keep
to
it
be in
again.
this room with you.
Thank you.
You
for
have
doing
patriotic blood running through your veins.
I have the slantiest eyes, but I am the most American. That's a fact.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh shit. Okay, what else? One of the theories was actually accounted by John Smith, and said that one of the chiefs, Chief Powhatan, he said that he killed the Roanoke settlement because that they were with one of the tribes that he was at war with. I don't know if that was just him like trying to look cool.
He was like ancient, not ancient. He was like the ISIS of the 1500s. It's like other people are fucking shit up. He's like, oh, Yeah, that was me. That was Be afraid. Powhatan.
What's happening, Powhatan? But yeah, so he takes, apparently there's several accounts that he takes credit for that. Because, also when Jamestown was settled, one of their tasks was like, hey, can you figure out where the fuck Roanoke is? Like, what happened to those people? And so John Smith, actually, that he was trying to find them.
What if Roanoke was Atlantis?
And built the pyramids of Giza.
Whoa.
That is a theory that was just born in this room.
It's going on Wikipedia.
All of the sites with funny graphics and font that looks like blood drips, take this theory now.
Yeah. RealRoanokeTheories.com.
Okay, so the next point of speaking is that in 1998, which is, I have no joke for that. In 1998,
Why would you need to?
I was going to try to think of something. In 1998, an archaeology dig in a site near Cape Creek on Hatteras Island. That's not where you wear hats.
Hatteras Island.
That's not where you wear.
Mind you, Hatteras, that's funny. Hatteras Island is modern day Croatoan.
Modern day. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
We're just calling it Hatteras because we like to confuse you. So, this dig discovered a 10-carat gold signet ring, which is estimated to be from the 16th century. And recently, another dig discovered a writing tablet, a lead pencil, I don't know who was leading it, and a small piece of Arabian...
That was so stupid. It was actually good.
I was thinking about a tablet. I was like, where'd they find an iPad out there?
It was a Samsung Galaxy S7. Is that a tablet? That's a phone.
No. Samsung Galaxy Tab.
Tab.
Okay, is that the
Tab.
tablet version? I don't know.
There we go. And they also found a small piece of a rapier handle, which are artifacts similar to those used in England during the 16th century. There was a similar writing tablet, Samsung Galaxy tablet, found at Jamestown, and Mark Horton, no relation to the one that heard a who.
Calm down, Jerry.
Jeremy, you're on fire.
And an archaeologist on the most recent dig told National Geo that the evidence is that they assimilated with the Native Americans but kept their goods. So this would imply that they went to Croatoan, things were chill, because definitely Native Americans could not afford 10-carat gold signet rings.
No.
They just had pelts and...
No, I mean,
They couldn't even afford houses. What the hell?
That's why they had those stupid little teepees.
Oh my god, what is a teepee for?
ants. For savages?
You want me to sleep in a triangle with a circle at the bottom?
Stupid.
I like squares for my sleep. Okay.
Okay, calm down.
Isn't it a cone?
I don't know, man. I haven't slept in one because I'm above that.
I did remember reading some Wikipedia shit about how there was some accounts that people had seen Native Americans with like 2-story brick houses. Like,
really?
yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me find it.
Brick, or
like
they got some clay and made it.
Yeah, it was not a teepee.
Clay houses. Yeah, but how would they do that? They would need like a kiln for the bricks.
They made the pyramids of Giza. They can make anything.
Who's they?
Aliens, bro.
Aliens?
It said that the Indian settlements of I'm going to butcher this, and I am so sorry for my people.
Kevin is part Nava Cherokee.
Something like that. Oh my god, Pekka Rehanik and Alkahayahoin.
Don't say it so breathily. That sounds racist.
There were reportedly 2-story houses with stone walls. The Indians supposedly had learned how to build them from the Roanoke settlers. Was one of the theories that was also circulating through Jamestown.
That's pretty cool.
Was that it strengthened to the whole assimilation theory. You know, if we're going with popular theories that I think might have actually happened and not just... There could have been some people that were like, all right, y'all fuckers can get on your stupid boat and try to go back to England. I think that's dumb. I'm going to go chill with these natives.
Yeah, and then there was the one guy who was like, I'm good. I'm just going to kick it here next to the gatepost.
right here.
And he died there.
I may or may not carve Roanoke into it at some point.
And by Roanoke, I mean Croatoan.
Oh, yeah.
So another possible location of the settlers could lie with the watercolored map called La Virgen Pars, drawn by none other than John White, who was a very gifted map maker. During the map's construction, John made correction by pasting over his mistakes with bits of paper. 2 patches on the map led Brent Lane of the First Colony Foundation to
X-ray the map for hidden secrets.
On the back, national treasure.
Yep, all you need is a little bit of lemon and heat.
Science.
Science.
You had like that creepy, like the old pedophile family guy.
Yeah.
Come here, Chris. I've got a whole bunch of popsicles.
I can't do that.
That is brilliant. Okay.
So during the excavation of this site, they found they excavated the site that was pasted over on the map. So on the map, they found with X-rays that there was a nice X marks the spot. And at this site, they found pottery that archaeologists claim may have been used by the Roanoke settlers, which was borderware that would have been traded and used by the Virginia Company before its dissolve, which was before the turn of the 17th century.
Wait, did you say that the 4-pointed star on the map was theorized to be a place that the settlers would return to in times of crisis?
Exactly. It makes sense that they would go there, and since they didn't find any bodies there during excavation, it would make sense that maybe they...
So everything points to super needy white folks and super accommodating Native Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and some of the stuff I read was like, it seemed like some Native Americans took pride in their good relations with the Europeans. I don't know why, because they sounded like shitty people. There's several Native American tribes from that area that claim to have white ancestors.
Going back to this map that John White created, another one of these theories is that instead of it being an area that the settlers would have gone to, maybe it was a place, where they might have had a vantage point or an advantage to fight the Spanish. So that would have been highly under wraps, and that's why he pasted over it, was for secrecy reasons. It's widely believed that the colonists, after being hit by something, dispersed into separate groups. That's not really disputed. This was a good plan if they did assimilate into the Native American cultures, because they were more than 100 people. No one tribe could have been able to support them.
Yeah.
What else could have happened besides assimilation? Aliens could have come down, shot all of the colonists with their laser beams, disintegrated all of them, and then they were like, wait.
And probed them.
And then anally probed them. Like, we gotta leave one.
Probing.
Yeah. So they switched their ammunition, right? From total disintegrate to skin and organ disintegrate. Shot the last guy, left a skeleton, and they wrote Croatoan on the tree in a rudimentary human tool to throw off the humans when they came back. And why did they do this? Why did the Joker burn all that money? Just for fun, just 'cause.
I mean, that was an amazing analogy. Everything that you just said made sense. Am I wrong, Kevin?
I'd believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't refute that amount of rational thought,
Thank you, man. And maybe they disassembled the houses and took the materials because they were low on wood, and they were like, we need wood.
We need wood, Viagra, please.
People think we probe with tools, but we just probe with our dicks.
In and out, my favorite part.
What information are you getting? How to come?
We have searched the universe.
Damn aliens.
So here's another one which sadly was debunked. But in 1937, L.E. Hammond, a tourist in the Northern Carolina area, claimed that he had discovered a small stone with an engraved message on it, a message that was written by none other than White's wife, Eleanor Dare. On the stone was written that only 7 colonists survived. After 47 stones were discovered, all adding to the story until the final stone, where Virginia is depicted as marrying a native. But they were debunked. Yeah. But some people believe that the first stone was real.
And then people were like, well, we'll keep going.
Yeah. He's like, he just made up those 47 because the first one was so cool.
I mean, I think that's a really cool idea.
But I'm just curious as to, like, what this story says. The other, like, what, the 103 that didn't survive? Were there 100?
117.
Oh, okay, so 110 died, according to the stones.
Yeah. Probably died of starvation. It was probably something around, like, the Donner Party.
Yeah.
You know, where...
They ate each other.
Exactly.
That's why they left the skeleton, bruh. They took everything else.
Ooh, they were picking the bones clean.
Yep. That actually makes the most sense. And that's when the aliens came down.
They're like, this is the kind of shit we're into.
Let's finish the job. That really gets me going. That really gets me going that you killed all your friends.
I just like to watch.
Those genitals. Literally.
Dig.
What is your... We should do a round, like a round table thing. Who's everybody's favorite
We should make that a
theory?
thing, right?
Yeah, of course. My favorite theory would have to be, I'm sure this is probably going to be the same theory as Kevin, but I really like the idea that the colonists were starving and the Native Americans were just extremely good people.
My theory is along with Matt's, where I kind of like the opening, like, kind nature and that they took people in. But my favorite part of the theories is the fact that Chief Powhatan probably knew this and was like, met John Smith, and John Smith was like, hey, do you know where the Roanoke people are? And Powhatan's like, I killed them. They're dead. Leave now. I have more power than you. Leave. Like, that's my favorite part, is that, like, this chief was like, fuck. They're here again. What do we do? These ones have bigger guns.
That's actually that's a good point. Maybe he did that to kind of scare off the English.
Yeah, and he's just peacocking. Or, puffing
I
out
want
the
to
chest.
see your peacock. Cock.
All right, Jeremy, what's your favorite theory?
My favorite theory is the theory I just made up about the aliens disintegrating all the Roanokes and leaving a sign because they needed wood. Because all of the actual, real, plausible theories are not macabre or mysterious enough for me and bore me. And even the alien one is kind of unsatisfactory, and I think I'm going to think of a better theory, and I'm going to make a movie of it and say that it's based on true events.
So I believe that going back to my, all the colonists drew straws and were like, hey, one person needs to stay here, and that was the skeleton. The guy had to stay behind while they went off and assimilated with the Native Americans. So I still believe in the same. I just want to say that I believe that one guy, that skeleton, he got the short stick, and he had to stay.
Fun fact, that guy who was left over at Roanoke, his skull is the one on Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland in Anaheim.
Well, it's a replication.
No, it's the real skull.
It's
really?
the actual.
No, it has nothing to do with that guy.
Gotcha,
I know.
you stupid. I think that does it for this episode of Try House Tells, the Mysteries of History.
We're going to try to do a special Thanksgiving skit. Let's see if we get that done. Oh, I'm putting it in the air.
Oh my God, it's on the air. We have to do it.
And if you guys have any ideas about certain topics that you want us to cover, by all means, put them in the comments. We are sure to give it a look and maybe do some research and get some of our bomb-ass theories in on the mix.
Tick, 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 and
We'll make something alien up for it if there's not something already.
Without a doubt. All right, thank you.